Thank you so much, and give it up to Jason for using schedule and meaning it. It's so good to be here. Thank you, Michael, and everybody. I'm Kevin Griffin. I'm in the band Better Than Ezra. I'm a songwriter. I started a festival called Pilgrimage Festival, and yes, I am in the middle of a tour. I want to start tonight with a thesis statement. Everybody here tonight is an artist. Everybody here is creative. And everybody here is capable of coming up with that next paradigm-shifting idea in business and culture, in music. But the question is, and by the way, I'm navigating this shag carpet. It kind of moves. And thank you. I requested the shag carpet. The question is, will you allow yourself to be what you already are? Now, Pablo Picasso, an artist who you may have heard of, famously said that we're all born artists. But the challenge is, how do we stay an artist? How do we stay creative as we get older? Or put another way, how do we grow into our creativity as opposed to out of it? And that's really what I want to talk about, because as a songwriter in any endeavor, how do you keep getting better? How do you stay nimble and inspired and competitive? Now, I don't think that Picasso was saying, or Pablo, I like to think that I would run in a circle with Pablo. We'd be on a first-name basis if I was around in the 50s in Spain and Barcelona. That's right, I used the lisp. I don't think that Pablo meant that we're going to be Keith Haring or Basquiat or Jackson Pollock doing a drip painting in a Hampton studio while a beautiful or a handsome muse exits on, though that sounds fucking great. What I think that Picasso meant was that all of us, whether we're a baker, a plumber, a musician, or someone in workspace strategies, all of us bring creativity to our daily tasks. Whether it's writing a song or it's coming up with a business plan, something you may think is mundane, but it's all the act of creation, and that has something a lot to do with creativity. So if we can agree upon this conceit, this premise, then it's not a stretch to say what can help one person stay creative, inspired, nimble, competitive, successful, and the ultimate brass ring in life, happy. What can help one person do that can also help another. Now, I've been in the music business for 30-something years, which means I was 10 years old when I had success. That would put me at like 40 or 41. I like those. By the way, my math is not good. I'm a Louisiana State University graduate. Give it up. Are there any SEC people out there? All right. And I've been doing this a long time. And over the years, I've gotten to travel the world, right like Jason said. Jason, if you're saying schedule, I will call you Jason. I've been able to write with Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran and have songs cut by different people and travel the world and really live out my dreams. And in the past 5, 6, 7 years, starting with like talking to YPOs and then interviews and mentoring younger artists, I keep getting asked, like, how are you still successful in a business that's so fickle and honestly youth-oriented? How do you stay competitive when a lot of your peers aren't? And so at first I was like, well, I don't know, man. And then I was like, wow, actually, there are things that I've had to do by design, by necessity over the years to continue to evolve. And I'm going to share those tricks of the trade. I'm going to pull the curtain back on rock and roll tonight just a little bit. But first, if you want to know where I'm going, where I'm at, then you have to have some historical perspective. So right now, I want all of you guys to come with me. Come with me back to 1995. That's right. Before your Spotify and your Google and your digital witchcraft, when people used to buy CDs and cassettes. I don't know why I speak in a Civil War general's voice when I speak of the 90s. It just feels appropriate. Back to 1995. It's July, RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., 88,000 fans, Pearl Jam, Hole, Bush, but one band from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Better Than Ezra, has the #1 song in the country, and I'm going to play it for you right now. And you can let your hair down. There's shag carpet here. Sing along. Looking around the house, watching the sun trace shadows on the floor, searching the signs of life, but there's nobody home. Oh! Now maybe I'm just too sure, or maybe I'm just too frightened by the sound of it. Pieces of note fall down, but the letter said, it was good living with you. It was good. It was good living with you. It was good. Good, good, good. Yeah, yeah, good. Oh, that's right. Sitting around the house, watching the sun trace shadows on the floor, searching the signs of life. There's nobody home. Oh! Now maybe I'll call or write you a letter. Maybe we'll see on the 4th of July. But I'm not too sure, and I'm not too proud. Well, I'm not too sure, and I'm not too proud to say, it was good living with you. It was good. It was good living with you. It was good. Thank you, Indian Wells. Good night. 1995. Oh my God, that was a great year. I was able to pay off my Discover card. That's all I wanted from a deal. Do they even have Discover cards anymore? I don't know, but we traveled the world. We did Letterman, Leno, Conan. We were a punchline in an SNL Norm Macdonald skit. Do you guys remember that? This summer, the #1 band on college campuses was Better Than Ezra. #2, Ezra. Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. But that album, That Good Came Off Deluxe, sold 3 million copies. It was amazing. But 2 years later, our next album came out and sold about less than 500,000, so it didn't go gold. And then in 1999, our third album came out, and it sold about 200,000 copies. So you're seeing a trajectory that's not good. And by 2002, we got the call that every band dreads. Most bands here, you get a call from Business Affairs, from Elektra Records, and they called our manager and told us we'd been dropped. They weren't going to pick up the option for our contract. And it was, oh my God, just thinking about it, I still get kind of knocked back. It was this incredible blow. I'd given up a lot. I was going to go to law school, and I ended up doing music. And suddenly, in just 7 short years, I'd gone from almost being a household name, doing Saturday Night Live, cover of Spin, to being in a band that was dropped. I was in New Orleans. I was in my 30s. We were a band that was hot in the last century, 2002. I mean, that's the way I was thinking. And I thought, wow, do I go to law school? I was angry. But after a while, I was like, no, I want to keep doing music. That's my passion. And something came into my head that my father always told me, and it's, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if I was going to stay in music, I was going to have to do things differently, right? So I made a conscious effort to start studying the producers and the songwriters that I admired. And even at that time, and they're still kicking ass, Max Martin was at the top of his game, Pharrell, because they had done NERD, and other songwriters and producers. And I also started studying different business people and reading books, and I started seeing commonalities in how people, not just musicians, but business people also conduct the way they do business. And around this time, somebody came into my life that would change the trajectory of my life, and like so often is the case, you don't know it at the time. But it was a person. Jason mentioned him. He's sold over 100 million records, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. And it sounds so weird to say, but probably the person who really changed my creative and business life is Meat Loaf. Now, do you guys, yes, you give it up. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I will sing that whole album a cappella. You don't, in my room later, in my suite. Is your waterfall working in your room? That's what we always say to anybody. I didn't get a fucking waterfall. So 2002, I'm making Better Than Ezra. We'd been dropped, but we had some money, so we were going to finance our next record. And we were at the studio called Conway Studios. It's in Los Angeles at the corner of Melrose and St. Andrews. The same St. Andrews that Jane's Addiction sang about. And Jane says, Jane says she woke up on St. Andrews. You know that song. Well, we're recording there. We're making our album that came out in 2004. And Conway is this right in the center, in the grimy center of Hollywood, is Conway Studios. And it's these 3 studios behind this big terracotta wall. And once you kind of breach the automatic gates, you go in, and it's this beautiful studio with flowing bougainvillea and birds of paradise, and these 3 amazing studios. It's still the place where everybody goes. And we were there in Studio B. In Studio A, Justin Timberlake was making his first solo album. And I would later become a business partner with Justin Timberlake. But before that happened, one morning I was in the studio, and I had this guy come up to me, a guy named Alan Kovac. And if you know anything about music, Alan Kovac is just crusty. He's like this, the epitome of like a hard-edged music manager. And people in the business, most people roll their eyes, but they respect him. And he came up to me and said, hi, I'm Alan Kovac. I'm the manager for Meat. And also, Alan, yeah, that's what you refer to Meat, Mr. Meat. And God rest his soul, he passed away a couple years ago, but a legend and such a sweetheart of a guy. But he also managed the Bee Gees, Blondie, Motley Crue, but I digress. He said, Meat wants to write a song with you. And at that time, I had never written a song with anybody. All the Better Than Ezra hits I had written 100% of. I'm kind of a type A person. You know, I also like getting all the royalties and having 100% of the songs, to be quite honest. Full disclosure, we got shag carpet. This is like your crazy uncle's rec room. All we're missing is a bumper pool table. Michael, bumper pool next year. So I'd always written up the songs, but then I was like, I don't know, man, because Meat Loaf was a legend, but he had put out songs like with titles like "Objects in the Mirror Are Closer Than They Appear." I mean, I had a hard time working with someone who would do that. It's a great song. I realize that now. But that voice in my head, my father saying, Kevin, nothing changes if nothing changes. So I went into the studio with Meat Loaf, and I expected Meat Loaf to be like a high school production of Phantom of the Opera with fog on the ground and Meat Loaf with a Phantom of the Opera mask on, because he's such a kind of, Renaissance man. But he was just this guy from Texas, and he just loved music. And we ended up writing this song called Testify. It was a 7-minute long opus. It was my version of imitating the songwriter that wrote all his big hits, a guy named Jim Steinman. And it was about a truck driver who's addicted to speed, and this truck breaks down, and he stumbles into a Tentside revival, and there's a gospel choir. And if you wanted to see an exercise in bad taste, Google Meat Loaf, Sydney Opera House, Boys Choir, Testify. Talk to me tomorrow at breakfast and say, just shake your head at me. But the song became a pretty big hit. And suddenly, I mean, Ezra only had success really in the States. But suddenly, there was a song out that nobody knew about, and I was getting higher royalties than any of the things Better Than Ezra did. Then I wrote with Blondie, who was also another Alan Kovac artist. I wrote a song for her. Blondie, oh my God, she's so cool. And even then, she was just stunning. I wrote a song called Good Boys with her. And then I wrote with Barry Gibb, all the same manager. The song we wrote was terrible, but I got to hang out with fucking Barry Gibb in Miami. But after that, I started working with different artists, and collaboration became the bedrock of what I do on a daily basis to stay competitive. And it's the trick of the trade, number one, collaboration. Now, collaboration isn't any kind of thing new in business, and it certainly was for me since I did everything myself. But what is different about collaboration in with the songwriters? Well, in a collaboration, when I set one up, I'm going to surround myself with people who have a skill set that's different than mine. Like, I'm known in the music business as a top liner. Top line is the person who comes up with the melody that you sing and you remember, like, wah-ah, it was good. By the way, wah-ah was supposed to be a lyric. I didn't realize that I'd be 50 and still singing wah-ah, but it's done all right. So, you know, I'm a top liner, so I'll surround myself with people that bring a different skill set. Like, I'll bring somebody in who is a lyricist, who just crushes lyrics. I'll bring in a producer. If it's pop, I'm going to have somebody who's a great producer who's going to do competitive beats. And if I do bring in another top liner, it's going to be somebody who does something different than me. They come from R&B or something like that. And suddenly, I surround myself with these people, and then once they're there, I do something that seems easy, but it's usually not. I actually allow the people who are there to complete this task. I actually allow them to do what I brought them there to do. Meaning, I don't try to control the collaboration. I just actually let the song, in this case, dictate the momentum of the day. And when I do that, that's when things get sticky and things get really good. And to that point, also listening in a collaboration. Have you guys ever noticed that listening is kind of a lost art? And the irony is not lost on me that I'm speaking to you and you're listening to me. But that exception, I mean, so often, and I'm guilty of this too, like when I'm telling somebody something, they're just going like, and they're not really listening. They're just thinking of what they're about to say that's going to trump that or add to it. And I found that in a collaboration, when you actually listen, wow, the people I've got great people together. When I listen, the ideas are really amazing. Oh, wow. And then it's amazing the impression you make on something. You can probably think of somebody in your life, there's probably one or two, because there's not many, who always ask you how you're doing, and they sit and listen to you. For me, it's two guys who are financial advisors. I don't know if that's another trick of the trade they have, maybe. But listening is key, and I know that you guys are here in part to talk about hybrid workplaces and what do we do. We've got brick and mortar buildings. There's people are saying, I don't want to come back. I'm just as productive virtually. And I have to say, as a songwriter, when the pandemic happened and suddenly I heard of this Zoom machine, and FaceTime and all the different ways you could do virtual meetings, I didn't know what to think, because songwriting is something you need to be right in front of somebody with, right? But in short order, we had no choice. We had to use Zoom. And as you guys know, when you're in Zoom or FaceTime or Teams, there's latency, right? So you can't play it along with somebody. So you have to listen. You actually have to listen to what they're saying, and it's almost kind of like working virtually for musicians. And I've had hits with songwriters in London and one in LA, but I haven't met in person, and it was all because of Zoom. Zoom is working virtually, or hybrid, if that's our buzzword, #hybrid. It's kind of like the working version of a high-efficiency laundry pod, kind of like. You just get something really fast and something really, 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 you get something really concentrated. But all this listening in collaboration is all dependent over something that I'll talk about. You'll hear me mention throughout the night. It's checking my ego at the door when I'm in a collaboration. When I'm working, the tendency is to want to control it, to put my fingerprints on it, to exert my will. But when I check my ego at the door in a collaboration, that's when it gets really great. I have a friend who's a songwriter. His name's Shane Sawyer. I'll mention him later because he's like this sage. He says, and he sounds like Sam Elliott. He talks like this. And he says, Kevin, my ego is not my amigo. And you're going to use that. And it's true, like when you let the idea take root, you let people do what they're going to do, you listen, and you check your ego at the door, that's when you get great results. I mean, that's when what always happens for me. The last part about collaboration, the unique part in songwriting sphere, is something I call take less, get more. And I mentioned how, like, originally in Better Than Ezra, I was the one guy. I was an army of one. I liked getting 100% of the songs, but that shit wasn't working. I mean, I got dropped. I had 100% of a lot of songs, but they were languishing on a hard drive. They weren't getting cut. But when I started collaborating, that's when I started having hits. Not only was I having hits, but I was putting out a lot more songs, because it's easier to write a song with 5 people or 4 people or 3 people. And even though I was maybe getting 20% of a song, man, the dividends that I was paying far surpassed doing things on my own. The idea in 2022 or 2023 and beyond of siloing and being a lone wolf is such an antiquated idea, especially in songwriting. And the real long play in life is just working with people over and over again. Take less, get more. If you get known as somebody who is generous in ownership and credit, man, you continue to work. And that's what's that's allowed me to be here tonight with you guys. So I know I mentioned a lot of artists that I worked with collaborating originally, Meatloaf and Blondie, but later in 2006 and 2007, I actually started working with artists who are not in AARP. And the first one was this kid. I was in my studio in New Orleans. I had this amazing studio. It was an old Packard body shop in the Lower Garden District of New Orleans. This was right before Hurricane Katrina hit. And this kid came from Bangor, Maine. He was super cocky, but he was great. And he did all the tapping stuff and the looping stuff before Ed Sheeran, a guy named Howie Day. And I had this idea. I had a title, Collide. I just thought that was a cool title, but I couldn't really finish it. And I had the chorus, and I played it for Howie like the third day. We wrote some okay songs, but I played this idea for him, and his eyes lit up when I played it. He was like, oh my God, that's my Dave Matthews Crash. This is the song. And we finished the song, and it went on to become his biggest song and probably my biggest song, and it's all because of collaboration. Again, lighters, virtual or real, embrace. The dawn is breaking, a light shining through. You're barely waking and entangled up in you. Yeah. I'm quiet, you know. You call a first impression. I found I'm scared to know I'm always on your mind. 'Cause even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. And out of the doubt that fills your mind, you somehow find you and I collide. Woo. You're beautiful tonight, Indian Wells. Cause even the best fall down sometimes. Even the wrong words seem to rhyme. And out of the doubt that fills your mind, you somehow find you and I collide. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Wells Symphony Orchestra. Michael, come on, man. Cause even the best fall down sometimes. Even the stars refuse to shine. And out of the doubt that fills your mind, you somehow find you and I collide. Thank you. Thank you, Indian Wells. Oh my gosh, that was Collide. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, the more you learn, the more you earn, and everybody knows that's Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett came up with that. And it's a great segue into the second tool I use, something I call filling the well. And filling the well really is continuing education. As you progress in your career, I like to think of creativity as this kind of finite well we have within ourselves. And your entire life, you're growing up, your relationship with your parents, your first love, your first heartbreak, the music you listen to, college, all that stuff is in this well. And when we're creating, whether it's music or whatever it is you do, we're drawing upon those experiences. So it's imperative that it's incumbent upon us to continue putting experience and inspiration back in the well. You know, it's like a bank account. If I keep writing checks and I'm not making deposits, then pretty soon I'm going to be overdrawn. So how do you combat creative bankruptcy? Well, as a songwriter, I know some people from Spotify are here. I do deep dives all the time on Spotify. I've always have to be continuing to be inspired by new music, because I'm working with artists who are 20 years old and 18 and all over the place. And if I bring something that I was listening to in college, and my musical journey had stopped when I was 1988, maybe 25, I wouldn't be working today. So it's kind of like by osmosis. I'm always listening to new music Fridays, always continuing to be inspired. But also, it's not just music, it's also knowing the business of my business. And every endeavor, every career, certainly with music, there's tons of trade journals, there's podcasts, there's interviews, there's radio, there's books. There's no end to the amount of industry-centric material that I can look to figure out, like Billboard or Hits Daily Double or Polestar. I always know who's in the top 10 in pop, hot AC, country, what writers wrote those songs, what managers are working with those artists, what labels put those artists out. Because in music, in business, the people that can connect the dots are the ones that succeed. And I'm always surprised by people, usually my peers, when they have no idea what's going on in the business they're trying to compete against or compete in. I mean, you can't compete unless you know what you're competing against. Like, I've asked a friend before, he was lamenting that he wasn't getting cuts, and I was like, well, what label is Morgan Wallen on? I know what it is. It's Big Loud. And he goes, I don't know, man. And I'm like, well, who's their manager? I don't know. I'm like, well, how are you going to compete if you don't know what you're competing against? You have to be able to connect the dots. It's like seeing the chess moves. How do I get this song? How do I get this idea? Oh, actually, this executive used to be here, but now he's at Sony Music, where I've never had an in. This is an example from 2 weeks ago. I was in London. I went to go see the Saints play the Vikings. Go Saints. Any Saints fans? Are Viking fans? Saints. Okay, good. Who dat? The Saints lost, but we were in Tottenham Stadium. It was amazing. So cool. If you haven't gone to Tottenham Stadium, you have to go. The seats are heated. Boom. Come on, America. But I was there, and I decided, okay, I'll have a songwriting session, and that way I'll be able to write off the trip to go see the Saints. So I wrote with these guys. They'd written Two-Step, the current Ed Sheeran song on this last record, and we wrote this song that sounded like a Dua Lipa cut. And they didn't know how to get it to Dua Lipa's people, but because I was reading Hits Daily Double, I'd read on the flight over that Nick Gatfield, a famous music guy, had left Warner UK and was now at Sony UK, Dua Lipa's label, and I was able to send the song to Nick Gatfield. Now, I don't know if it'll get cut, but it's at least going to get it into the right hands. So being able to connect the dots is critical. It's like chess moves. I mean, Queen's Gambit, it's that kind of thing. Speaking of Queen's Gambit and Netflix, I'm going to give you a nugget. This is a little aside. This is a little tangent. After it's over and you're snuggled up in bed, it's the Halloween season, The Watchers on Netflix. Is anybody watching that shit? Oh, it's good and it's bad and it's perfect. Talk to me, think me. If you get nothing from tonight, The Watchers. Say, Kevin, it was okay. It was okay. But The Watchers rocks. But connecting the dots. And then, also filling the well is embracing the success of your competition. And this involves what I mentioned earlier, checking your ego. You have to always be able to say, damn, I can get better. I'm good at what I do, but God, what they're doing is really good. How do I figure that out? If you turn your head to it, it's like, they suck. They're not as good as us. Instead of really investigating, you're missing out. A great example is I have a friend, his name's Robert LeBlanc, and he's from Houma, Louisiana. He talked like this, Kevin, oh man, I'm so tired, man. And he has these restaurants. He has James Beard Award-winning restaurants in New Orleans and Chicago. And if he's not greeting people at the front of the restaurant or slaving in the kitchen, man, he is at his competitors, checking out what they're doing, trying to figure it out. How do I get better? Embracing the success of your competitors is so key. And it brings me back kind of full circle to the Warren Buffett quote, not a Jimmy Buffett quote. Though I can talk a lot of Jimmy, but does anybody want to hear some Jimmy Buffett quotes? You want some? All right. Education is what you get when you read the fine print. Experience is what you get when you don't. Jimmy Buffett. Another Jimmy, I'm sorry, but you asked or I offered. A tattoo is a permanent reminder of a temporary feeling. Fuck, yes. But, sorry. Warren Buffett, the full quote is, the greatest investment you can make is in yourself. The more you learn, the more you earn, or as I like to say, the more you know, the more the dough, and I can continue, the more you've read, the more the bread. But you get the point. You have to continue filling the well and being inspired and staying nimble, whether it's by osmosis or it's overtly. You combine that with collaboration and filling the well, then you start to get bulletproof in what you do. But what happens when you're doing everything right? As a songwriter, like I'm doing all this stuff, but then suddenly I can't finish a song. And there's that dreaded word. I don't even like to say it. I don't know if your industry has the word, but my industry has the word writer's block. And writer's block is like the kiss of death. And that's something that you kind of always deal with. What if you're doing everything right, but you're still kind of vexed? You're in a creative deadlock. You can't figure a problem out. That's when you have to change your attitude. Now, I don't mean change your attitude like my parents used to say when I was being a smart aleck to them, or a coach would tell me, Griffin, you change your attitude or carry your ass to the locker room. I grew up in the South and in Louisiana, and they would say it not that nice. What I mean by change your attitude is how it's used in aviation. Let me explain. I mentioned this guy earlier. His name's Shane Sawyer. He's the guy who said, Kevin, your ego is not your amigo. Well, Shane Sawyer is probably my height, but he's big and burly. He looks like Sam Elliott. He talks like Sam Elliott. He's always wearing a Tennessee tuxedo. A Tennessee tuxedo is denim jacket, denim shirt, denim jeans. Tennessee tuxedo, full on chambray. But he's written songs, like I said, for George Strait. Who else? Garth Brooks, Madonna. He had a hit. And we were going to write one day on Music Row. Have you guys ever been to Nashville? Do you know where Music Row is? It's those parallel one-way streets that's where all the publishers are and the labels and stuff. It's just steeped in music history. I mean, everybody, country artists, but the Beatles, Coldplay, Elvis, they've all recorded there. So I was set to work with Shane Sawyer, and I was kind of intimidated because he's a big deal. And he said, hey, Kevin, tomorrow instead of us writing, why don't you take a flight with me up in my plane up to Louisville? I purchased a guitar called Greenie. And he went on to tell me that he had purchased this famous guitar that was originally played by Peter Green and then Kirk Hammett from Metallica. It's this Les Paul that's very sought after. It's the Valhalla. It's the Mona Lisa of Gibson Les Paul guitars. And I was like, sure. I'm thinking, well, Shane, because I've connected the dots and I've read about you, I know that you just sold your catalog for $30 million. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to be going in a jet tomorrow to Louisville. I thought I was going to be in a Citation or a G4 or something similar. So I go the next day. I go to FBO. I go to, I think it was Millionaire or Atlantic Air, one of those. And I meet, will you ask me a question? Oh, I like that. So I go into the lobby, and Shane Sawyer's there, and he's in his Tennessee tuxedo with the jacket on. It's July. It's 90 degrees, but he's still got the outfit on. And I follow him out. I follow him down this red carpet on the tarmac, and we're passing these gleaming Citations and G4s, and then we take a right, and I see at the end of this red carpet, I was going to say I shit you not. It's okay if I curse every once in a while. I'm in a band. It's okay. Okay, yes, the cursing, yes. I see this relic of aviation, this quivering mass of metal. It's a Cessna 150. It's a single prop. It's a single prop plane. It's a two-seater, nary air conditioning at all. And I just instantly, I feel like I'm getting a panic attack. Look, I fly all the time. I flew here this morning or this afternoon. But I don't like flying, and I'm a little bit claustrophobic. So combine, a single prop airplane, no air conditioning, sitting next to a kind of a heated Shane Sawyer in his Tennessee tuxedo, and I wasn't really that fired up about doing it. But I got in with him anyway. So I'm in this plane, and we get up, and Shane's a very astute guy, so I figured, I just go for broke. I hope nothing happens. And we put on these really state-of-the-art, the only thing state-of-the-art were these headphones. And we put these noise-canceling headphones on, and we're talking. It's just silent. And I'm telling him, like, man, that song, that idea we had, I can't finish it. I'm doing everything right. And Shane is looking at me like this, like, and he's playing, he's got the joystick. And he's listening to me. I'm like, I just can't figure it out. And he goes, and then he taps on this gauge on the instrument panel, and he goes, what's that? And I go, well, it says altitude. And he goes, well, what's altitude? I go, well, it's how high we are. How high we are? And he goes, yes, altitude is how high you are above the ground. And then he tapped on this gauge right next to it, and it was the silhouette of an airplane. And he said, what's this? And I go, well, it says attitude. And he goes, well, what is attitude? And I go, I have no idea. He goes, well, it could be this. And he gets the joystick and goes to the left and then goes to the right and brings it back up. He said to me, attitude is your plane's orientation or your relationship to the earth. Specifically, when you're landing a plane, it's your angle of approach. What is your attitude when you're landing the plane? He said, you need to change how you're trying to approach the problem. And then, with nothing else said, he just pushes the yoke, the joystick forward. Instantly, we're in a nosedive. And the plane starts rattling, and I'm imagining like rivets popping up. And have you ever done the Tower of Terror in Disney World? Where there's that really beautiful moment where everything is weightless. Have you ever done the thing where you hold a penny and you let go and it just kind of hovers for just a millisecond? A paperclip came up and was hovering over me. And we're going in a nosedive, and he goes, what do I, and he's yelling over it. I won't yell because it'll be too loud. He's like, what do we need to do? And I'm like, pull up, Shane, pull up. He goes, what do we need to do? I'm like, pull up. He goes, what do we need to do? I go, we need to change our attitude. And he pulled it up. And in dramatic fashion, he kind of clued me in what I needed to do. I needed to change the way I was trying to break a creative deadlock, banging my head on it. In music, what does that look like? Well, in music, when I'm writing, I get the guitar, and I'll start playing chords. Most of my songs start that way. But this song that I was talking to Shane about wasn't happening. So I changed my attitude. I changed my angle of approach to bring the song home. So it happens different ways. I might start with a beat. I might get Pro Tools or Logic or GarageBand and start a cool beat. So I'm building it with my collaborators, and invariably somebody starts singing something over the beat where we were beating our heads over this guitar chord progression I was playing. Or we'll start with a lyric. We'll write the whole song just as a poem. Or something that's even more fun to do is take an idea that you love. For me, it's a song. What is it that you love in your business that you really dig? And reverse engineer it. Take all the important elements and break them apart and say, why is this working? Why do I like it? Why is it compelling? Let me put my axe back on. So this is a guitar, but it's also known as an axe. Everything in music is shortened. Hold on one second. This isn't just a microphone. It's called a mic. And this show tonight is not a show. It's a what? It's a gig. Yeah, see, now we're working. Did you feel that collaboration just then? But you reverse engineer a song, or you use technology, you use a beat. A great example of that is in 2012, I had a studio in Silver Lake, California, right in the dirty part of LA near Los Feliz. And I was working with this guy named Shy Carter, and we were writing this song. What was it? Hey Soul Sister was really big at the time, and Jason Mraz, I'm Yours. So another reveal is a lot of times songwriters will listen to a hit song on the radio and be like, how do we do that? So I was doing this. And I did that for almost 3 hours, and nothing. Creative dead, like nothing. So I was like, oh, fuck, let's go down. We walked down to this coffee shop called Blue Bottle, the most pretentious coffee shop ever in Los Angeles, California. If you're laughing, you know what I mean. But we come back, and I'm back, and I've got Pro Tools going, and I'm doing like this. And Shy goes, and you know him, if you look on the old Nelly records, he co-wrote all those big Nelly records, but he goes, yo, Kevin, man, I'm gonna go get some herbal inspiration. And I was like, okay, cool, man. So I got everything ready to record, because if you've ever worked with anybody who is smoking weed, there's this beautiful, very finite window of glorious ideas, but then it all goes to shit really fast. So Shy came back in, and he's such a great writer. Check him out, Shy Carter. He's actually is a country artist now in Warner Brothers. He's had a bunch of different, he's like a chameleon. And he goes, yo, Kevin, man, put some auto-tune on my vocal track. And you guys know what auto-tune is. At least you've heard of it. You've heard T-Pain. And the original use of auto-tune was Dolly Parton and Do You Believe in Love After Love? What it basically is, it's like an app you have on your phone. All right, we call it, in the music world, we call it a plugin, but it's just an app. It's a program. And what you do is you put it on any track. In this instance, Shy wanted me to put it on his vocal track. But if you put the key of the song, and this is a key of G, if you put the key of the song, and anything you sing will instantly be in that key. And that's how a lot of pop is written. If you don't know the melody, you just get the track that's going, you put auto-tune on, and it's just, and it just pops things in, and it breaks that creative deadlock. The normal approach, the normal angle of approach, you kind of get around that problem. And this song that we were banging our heads on, I put auto-tune on. It's like a butterfly net with someone who has been smoking a lot of weed. You've got to capture it while you can. But he started singing, and within 15 seconds, I heard this. And I was like, oh my God. Because when you hear a song, when you hear that moment, you're like, that's a hit. And I hit record. 30 minutes later, we had this song that I knew, and it's so rare that I was like, oh, fuck, this is a game-changing, this is a life-changing. Honey, by the lake house. It's one of those. I knew the song was a hit. I called up my friends, Jennifer Nettles and Christian Bush. I was like, do you guys have a single for your new album? He's like, no, we fucking don't. And we're in the studio. This was a Thursday. We're in the studio on a Tuesday. If you've got something, bring it. 30 minutes later, we had this song. I sent this to him, and it became and is Sugarland's biggest song they ever had, and it's the 11th most downloaded country song ever on the Spotify machine. And I'm going to sing it for you just a little lower than Jennifer Nettles sings it. absolutely no one knows me better. No one that can make me feel so good. How do we stay so long together when everybody said we never would? Just when I start to think they're right, the love has died. There you go, making my heart beat again, heart beat again, heart beat again. There you go, making me feel like a kid. Won't you do it one time? There you go, pulling me right back in, right back in, right back in. And I know I'm never letting this go. I'm stuck on you. Stuck like glue. You and me, baby, we're stuck like glue. Stuck like glue. You and me, baby, we're stuck like glue. Some days you don't feel like trying. Some days you know you wanna just give up. When it doesn't matter who's right, fight about it all night. You had enough, you give me that look. I'm sorry, baby, let's make up. You do that thing that makes me laugh. And just like that, there you go, making my heart beat again, heart beat again, heart beat again. There you go, making me feel like a kid. Won't you do it one time? There you go, pulling me right back in, right back in, right back in. And I know I'm never letting this go. I'm stuck on you. Stuck like glue. You and me, baby, we're stuck like glue. Stuck like glue. You and me, baby, we're stuck like glue. Come dee come dum da dum dum. KG rockin' WorkSpaces and dum. Indian Wells, Hyatt, Regency low. Some damn de dum 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 bum dum. It's like hybrid WorkSpaces. I don't know what else to say. I'm just a musician, you don't have to raise the bar to me, that's what I say. There you go, making my heart. Oh yeah, thank you. Woo! Now it's a Sunday night in Indian Wells. That's what I'm looking for. Coachella is jealous right now. Oh, that's a great lyric. Coachella is jealous. Coachella is jealous, fellas. Coachella is jealous. We're gonna write that later. Thank you. So, thank you so much. Good night. So, collaboration, filling the well, changing your attitude. The fourth and most important tool that I use, and there's a lot of other ones, but you don't have the patience for that. I've actually got a book coming out on Brown. Brown is putting a book out in April, and hopefully it'll be everywhere. But the fourth tool that I use, it's the most important. Drum roll, if I had a drum roll. Yes. Dare to be stupid. And what I mean by this, in a creative atmosphere, you can't second guess yourself. Because if you second guess yourself, it's that voice in your head saying, oh God, you're in a collaboration, you're in a conference room, you're in a hybrid workplace, and you're like, oh God, I think this would be a good idea, but maybe it's really stupid. You know, you could exchange dare to be stupid with dare to suck. You have to create. It's incumbent. It's critical in a workplace to create an environment where big ideas and thinking outside the box in a songwriting collaboration are encouraged and failure isn't stigmatized. You know, there's a famous educator. He just passed away. There's a theme going. Meatloaf passed away. There's a guy named, or wasn't his name, Sir Kenneth Robinson. Have you ever heard of Sir Kenneth Robinson? He was a famous educator. He was a knight. He has one of the greatest TED Talks ever. But he said, and I love this quote, you'll never come up with anything truly groundbreaking unless you're prepared to fail. You know, you got to throw it up. Like the best songs have come from the stupidest idea. Case in point, there's a guy named J.T. Harding. He's written some of the biggest songs for Morgan Wallen, for Keith Urban. He has a Bruno Mars track. Well, it's a Silk Sonic track with Anderson .Paak. And he has zero filter. When you write with him, you're like, he's just throwing out terrible, he's a lyricist. he's just throwing out terrible ideas like, holy shit, is this guy for real? Is this the guy I've tried so hard to work with? And then he just drops this nugget because he has zero filter. You know, dare to be stupid. If I can leave you with anything, don't second guess yourself. Create an environment where thinking outside the box is encouraged and it's embraced. Again, it's so important. And you know, when we started this, when I started, how long was it? It was like 5 minutes ago I started this speech, right? Something like that. I said I have a thesis that we're all artists, that we're all creative, and I said that we were going to prove that. Now is the time. We're all going to be stupid together. We're going to dare to be stupid. What we're going to do, we're going to put our money, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. We're going to write a song. WorkSpaces, right now, we're going to write a song together. Now, I've done this a few times. We're going to treat it just like a normal songwriting session. I've got an idea. Instead of me writing with 1 or 2 or 3, I'm writing with 100 people tonight. And what we're going to do is I've got like a verse and a chorus. You've got pieces of paper and pens on the table. And somebody with really good handwriting is not me. I'm left-handed. It's a terrible, like palsy-like scrawl. Somebody's going to be our scribe. You're going to write down some lyrics. We're going to all agree that it's good, and then I'm going to get you guys to come up and sing. In about 10 days, 2 weeks, you will receive a fully produced demo from me that we will then shop. I've had a Jake Owens cut I did with Michael Owens, one of the events we did. We actually got a cut. So dare to be stupid with me, and maybe we could, maybe make some cash monies, and I'll see you at the Grammys. So check this out. Okay, this is the idea. So this is just like a regular songwriting session. You're seeing what it's like. Okay, we just met. I'm like, hey man, what do you want to do? Like, well, I kind of got this idea. So we're in the desert, and I thought it would be kind of cool to do like this kind of song, like it's a little bit Eagles meets the band Midland, a little kind of, maybe a little bit of Sturgill Simpson, kind of psychedelic. You know, I know that this is a lot of tech people, so you're all microdosing right now, I'm sure. The person who laughed really loud, I gotcha. But you're working at your highest level microdosing. I'm like, But so what we're all gonna do is we're gonna just come up with ideas for these lyrics. Let me play the idea. I'm gonna play this idea I have for you. Let's see if we like the first verse and chorus. If you think there's a better lyric, fucking bring it. Dare to be stupid. I'm firm but gentle. We'll decide together whether it's cool. But put yourself out there. So here's the idea. It's called Desert Stars, and it goes like this. Like I actually have a little beat. Hold on. Entertain yourself. Everybody can try to sound like they're cool. If you just want to just make people kind of say, are they cool? Do they really know what they're doing? Just do this. Anytime you hear music, just go. It's funny, just one. Okay, here's the song. Verse and chorus. We're going to write the second verse together. Here we go. We both been working too hard. I think we need a little recharge. Let's leave the stress in the city behind, yeah. Take a trip in the desert and expand our mind. Going all night, dancing with the moonlight. We getting loco with Casamigos. All night, till we see the sunlight. And I'm tangled up in your arms, under the desert stars. What do y'all think? That's pretty dope. It's our song, you better like it. It's gonna make you a shit ton of money. You're gonna quit all your jobs. We're gonna be on the road next year. All right, so that's first verse and chorus. Okay, so what do we think? We like these words? We've both been working too hard. I think we need a little recharge. Let's leave the stress in the city behind. take a trip in the desert and expand our mind. That was the tip of the hat to the microdosers over here in this area. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool first verse, right? All right, okay, so, and I think the chorus is pretty dope. Going all night, dancing with the moonlight. We getting loco with Casamigos. Anytime you name a brand alcohol, you're winning. All night, till we see the sunlight, and I'm tangled up in your arms under the desert stars. All right, so now we're gonna write verse 2. Get your pens ready. So, I've got a starter. Don't worry, this is like Mad Libs. It's not gonna be that hard. I got a first verse. You guys got to come up with something that rhymes with this. Well, I know a place we can go. Oh, shit. All right. Let's see. All right. I like Mexico's. That's great. Okay. What do we think? Well, we already said I know a place we can go. But no, dare to be stupid. You just did it. Yes! Okay, but I like Mexico. Let's see. Well, I know a place we can go. Shoot some tequila down in Mexico. We like that? I think that's pretty fire. Okay, so who can write this? Who's going to be my secretary here? Who's going to write this down? Yes, you. Okay, so here's our lyric. Well, I know a place we can go. We'll drink tequila down in Mexico. Is that it? We'll shoot tequila. Is that cooler? We'll shoot tequila down in Mexico. You got it? Okay, we're halfway there. What? Oh, we will. Don't you worry. This is a big setup. This is just so I can do shots with you later. Okay, so second half of the verse. This is what we have so far. Well, I know a place we can go. We'll shoot tequila down in Mexico. All right, we're on fire. All right, second half of the second verse. We're almost there. I've got this. Sing along in the bar with the cover band. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba band. What do you think? What should we do? What's cool there? Or something else? Sing along in the bar with the cover band, yeah. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba da band. Anything? Oh, oh shit, that's actually good. See, listening. I'm practicing everything I talked about. Let's see. Sing along in the bar with the cover band, yeah. Wait, no, I think Pearl Jam. Clapping hands? There's clapping hands, but the Pearl Jam is kind of good. Let's wait. Sing along in the bar with the cover band, yeah. Got playing air guitar with Pearl Jam. Playing air guitar to Pearl Jam? Oh. Dancing barefoot. Slow dancing with you, baby, in the sand. Slow dancing with you, baby, in the sand. Oh, I kind of like that. Yes? We dig that? All right, Scribe. Okay, sing along in the bar with the cover band. Slow dancing with you what was it? Slow dancing with you, baby, in the sand. Yes, slow dancing with you, baby, in the sand. Sorry, I'm just a 90s singer. The brain cells aren't, they're what they used to be. Okay, let's try this. Well, I know a place we can go. We'll shoot tequila down in Mexico. Sing along in the bar with the cover band, yeah. Slow dancing with you, baby, in the sand. Blowing all night, can you feel it? In the moonlight, we get loco with Casamigos. All night, till we see the sunlight. And I'm tangled up in your arms, under the desert stars. We have a song, ladies and gentlemen. Yes! Oh, God, that was so easy. You are a talented lot, aren't you? Aren't you? Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, now I'm going to capture your voices digitally in zeros and ones. So here's what I need to do. If you need a shot, or you're just going to get up, I need all the dudes right now. I need the dudes. See this microphone? Just form a semicircle around this microphone. This will be painless. It'll be easy. It'll be camaraderie. It'll be team building. Get on up, WorkSpaces. Come on. No one's too cool to come and sing. It just takes one person. Yes. Here we go. Just kind of get around this microphone, kind of form like a circle. I'm going to do the beat, so whatever you guys sing is actually in time, okay, with what we're doing. Okay, we're gonna do some different things. I'm gonna capture all this. Just sing loud and proud, like your testosterone therapy. Lots of virility in these voices, man. All right, so let's see. Hold on. Let me figure something. Let's see. This will be cool. So this will come in at the end of the song, and I'll layer it with the chorus. All right? It'll be this. Under the desert stars, under the desert. Y'all sing. Under the desert stars. I have captured your souls digitally. Thank you, men. Now I need the ladies. Come, ladies. Oh, hell yeah. Ladies, don't be shy. Okay, so. Oh, just keep. Let's do it. I'm in. Okay, just like the guys, but just beauty, though. You've got beautiful voices, and this is amazing. My God. WorkSpaces is rocking tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a harmony to the under the desert. Under the desert. Under the desert. Stars under the desert. That was it. Oh, no. Under the desert. Under the desert, stars under the desert. Okay, that'll be. Well, just sing along with me. And if we're out of key, don't worry, I'll fix that shit. Under the desert. You like that better? Let's do that one. Then we'll do a third. It'll be 3-part harmony. It'll be mind blowing. So we're gonna do this first. Under the desert. Okay, let me get the beat. Give it up for the ladies of Workspace 22. Guys, I have our song. Desert Stars is a reality. All the work, all the blood is on that hard drive. In about 2 weeks, I'm on the road. I'll have a demo for you guys. We'll check it out. We'll all share the we'll all have a copyright together, and we'll pitch it. We'll see what happens. I don't know, but we've written a song together. Guys, thank you so much. Listen, stay creative. Continue the search. Stay nimble. Dare to be stupid. Collaborate. Fill the well. Change your attitude, and never stop learning and being creative. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Workspaces. Shots later. I'm Kevin Griffin. Thank you guys so much, and good night.